Welcome to another UTS Startups Confessions. Right. Awesome. So, as you can see, we've got a slightly different format this week because it is Spark Festival, which is New South Wales' festival of innovative and technology-based ideas, really sparking, as part of the name, entrepreneurship, innovation, and all of those good things. And this week, we've got something special at UTS Startups Confessions, where we have a number of our student startups. We've got Annie, and we've got these three fine people who we'll introduce in a moment, who are going to share a bit about that journey. So firstly, I want to say a few things about Annie. So Annie and everyone here are part of the IBISWorld 3Ps competition. That's been a competition that was recently held at UTS for supporting businesses that are involved in the 3Ps concept. So people, profits, and planet. So not just the single profit P, the whole holistic aspect. And there's a range of benefits involved in that, and we're going to explore that in a moment. But Annie, you are a judge in this program, and you've been a mentor as well in this program, and we're really grateful to have you here as part of this to lead this. So in a moment, let's give Annie a big round of applause as she's going to be steering the conversation and also sharing about her own journey as a student-led startup herself. So please give them all a big round of applause.
Hello. Thank you so much to everyone who's joining us today, live and in person. Let's jump right into the questions. So Harrison and Keith and Liam, how's your experience with 3Ps?
I guess I'll start us off. I think the 3P competition, it's kind of a dual format competition. So it starts off with 9 weeks of essentially an accelerator with industry mentors, and then moves into a pitching competition at the end. So of course from that first 9 weeks, we get to speak to a lot of people who have a diverse range of skills, which is really useful as a fledgling business, including yourself. And then towards the end, as we get towards the pitching segment, I think as a founder, that's pretty useful, being able to pitch and present your ideas on stage. So that whole process was really good as a founder. About yourselves.
Yeah, amazing.
It was great because there's very little programs actually dedicated to student entrepreneurship. So it was great to be part of something that was. Being involved with all the mentors, meeting people that you wouldn't normally meet in your day-to-day life. And it helped us accelerate and get to this point.
Yeah, amazing. What about you, Liam?
It was really great because it had a week-by-week structure where they had a different thing you have to learn each week. 1 week they're talking about the marketing strategy. Next week you're talking about the financials. And as a startup that was really product-centric, it really forced us to take a step back, think about our financial projections, think about our business model, and really just digress everything that encapsulates a startup. So I love that sort of format that it forced us to learn. And we had mentors each week. So we were going into it with some documents saying, hey, what do you think about this? And they had some great feedback and we could bounce back and forth off. So I really liked that. Also the pitching component. As someone who didn't traditionally pitch, it really forced us to come out of our shell a little bit. And I know I practiced 30 times in the mirror, and that's really helped me now. Just in terms of talking out, and especially as I go into startups, this is going to become a lot more common to do. So I really like the practice now that it really forced us to do.
Okay, amazing. Just touching on the pitching part. So it sounds like it was your first experience, first time pitching?
First time pitching officially.
What about you, Keith, Harrison?
Pitching Pura Link, yes. Yeah.
In person, because you do a lot of pitches on Zoom, especially when you're talking to VCs, investors, this and that. It's all on Zoom, but now actually having a live audience to pitch on was really helpful. It gives you a different perspective. You're going to use your hands more, project your voice. So it was great to get that other perspective on pitching.
Yeah, okay. So how did you practice, to get better at pitching? Did you get advice from mentors or from other people in the industry?
Well, one thing I did, from people in the ecosystem, we help pitch. I got some people together that work, around our desk and on our floor. Got my pitch on the TV and pitched my parents. That helped a few times before, and got me, just that, got me up to speed.
Yeah, amazing.
I find recording yourself really helps because when you can see yourself talking, you can be talking too fast. I should maybe pause there and enunciate that. So actually watching yourself and having that time to digress and break yourself apart, you end up every single time you're like, okay, I'm going to tweak this, change it, and then you start perfecting the pitch. To the point where when I started getting up there and pitching, it was muscle memory. I was thinking about, am I doing a push day or pull day tomorrow? I could actually start just speaking out, had the rhythm, had that sort of format just stuck in my head, and it really helped. So I didn't really get up there and just get cold feet.
Yeah, I agree. Like recording yourself is great, and you sort of like start nitpicking like which parts could be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, having some of your friends or like colleagues reviewing you as well helps a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
In my experience too. So just curious about like how you found out about the 3Ps competition. Did you hear about it from friends, from alumni, from students?
Yeah, actually, I heard about it a couple years ago. There was another UTS startup run by Rowan Smith Tech Gym, who he was a tutor in engineering, and I knew him through that. And as part of his company, he placed first prize. I think it was 2019, 2020, sometime around then. So that was kind of my first exposure to the business or to the competition itself. In terms of this year, I think I saw it through UTS Startups. So they're really good at finding opportunities for us to look into, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to enter.
Okay, amazing. What about you, Keith?
Yeah, I found it through UTS Startups. So they send a weekly newsletter. I was following it. I saw the opportunity come up, and I saw the prize money, chance to win a prize pool of 25K. So I said, might as well just put my hat in the ring and give it a go.
Exact same. Heard it from the newsletter, but I actually heard it from it last year. And at that point, I was nowhere near ready. I was even afraid to like pitch to friends at that point. So it was at that time like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this. We're pre-market and everything, but it's good experience, good exposure, great to get my name out, and just networking and talking to these mentors has just meant a lot.
Okay, amazing. So I'd like to sort of touch on that a bit more. You said that you heard about it like a year or two back. So what made you sort of start now instead of join the competition now rather than like 1 to 2 years ago?
Back then, just really was still figuring out the business model, the idea itself. We've gone through multiple iterations of what we actually wanted to do. And actually it was the pitch itself where it really made us, we had our general idea, but we really didn't really hone in on that sort of, we have this idea and we want to become a sports coaching marketplace, and we're not really quite sure, but it sort of forced us to take a step back. Okay, what's the categories we're entering in, why we're entering, and who's our target market? Really think about this, and that I'm so glad I did do it, because if we didn't do it, we're probably at the stage now where we're still like all over the place, still working on product, and if we went to investors, they would have been like, what are you talking about? You're not really got a direct pitch. So it really just provided a good pathway, a good journey to get to where we actually are more product and marketing ready.
Yeah, so it seems like it's really supported you through that process.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. So I know that Keith and Liam, you both heard about it through UTS Startups. Let's talk a little bit about like how UTS Startups sort of has supported you through this journey and it helped your journey as like a student founder.
Absolutely. Like just as startups in general, the whole ecosystem is so great. There's been times when I first came in, Ben Kennedy just showed me a website link where it had all these like 20 videos from beginning to end where it showed you the breakdown of how to start a startup, and it was great. It showed us that and gave us like the breakdown, and the next person talks to it and says, I use this Webflow, this is great for creating a website. So you just talk to people in the space, and they just, such a community aspect that really everyone wants to see the other person win, because if you're winning, we're all winning. And that's just been great in terms of like getting that networking capability and having that support, like even on your bad days, talk to someone else, they've gone through the exact same problem, so they can tell you how to get there and how to get over the line.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, when I started UTS Startups a year ago now, almost 1 year anniversary, just came with a few coins in my pocket and not knowing much about startups in general. But, through being part of the ecosystem, I was introduced to another founder that was also interested in startups. We started going ideas back and forth. Slowly, started understanding a little more how startups work, and over time, just building it up.
Okay, great. Oh, what about you, Harrison? I know that you balance through like quite a few things. You teach at UTS, you're also a student, you're also doing Pura Link. Like, how are you balancing that, and how has UTS Startups supported you through that?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to keep track of. I think UTS Startups has been great for the aspects of being a founder that you're not usually aware of when you begin. I know for myself, I was very product focused, as Liam was saying first, and I think most founders are. They have a really cool idea or something they're building, and that's really what they focus on. So having those kind of financial aspects, lawyers and kind of legal considerations, that's something that coming in as especially a student founder, you're not very across, and it's something you need to learn on the job. So UTS Startups has been really good at kind of supporting that journey and connecting me with the right people to learn all that stuff.
Amazing. Okay, so what's some challenges that you faced as a student founder that some people may not know of? Let's like sort of dive in a bit deeper in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like student founder, there's those two aspects, but the biggest aspect that everyone usually forgets is, especially pre-revenue on a startup, you need an income. So you're not only studying full-time and working on your business full-time, you've also got to have a part-time job or something on the side so that you can live. So it kind of becomes that those three aspects that you need to keep track of, as well as social life and everything that you have going on outside of uni work and your startup.
Yeah, Keith, you mentioned that you started with a few coins. So do you want to touch a little bit about that? And was that like a big aspect, that like sort of a challenge that you faced?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it didn't start with much because I didn't really know much about startups in general.
Yeah.
So it was great to be part of a community where, you can see other like-minded people where I didn't really know there was other people sort of, that had the same mindset and, wanted to do something for themselves and work for themselves. So it was good to, start meeting other people, start bouncing ideas of each other, and then working together. Because a great way to put it is like when you're like a student, you're sort of in the trenches, you're working hard, you're trying to just survival mode. And when you're with other people, it just helps you sort of grow together.
Yeah, what about you, Liam?
Yeah, well, someone's working on a startup and as a student, it's a bit oxymoronic because when you're a startup founder, you get told that you go straight into the market after 2 to 3 months of building, test the product, test out the feasibility, and then find out whether there's actually a product there. But when you've got the balance of a part-time job, when you're also trying to study full-time and also work on a startup, there are so many things you're juggling. So time management becomes just essential. And during that, it's just going to be a massive headache to figure out, especially when you try and get a little bit of progress in your startup. You feel like you're making no progress because you're still in the learning stages. You're still trying to get over the line, wild bounce, everything else. But it's that perseverance and pushing through. And like these guys said, when you got people around you that keep you on your toes and keep you informed, it really just helps and gets you over the line.
Yeah, and even touching on that, a lot of people that I talk to, being, in that 21, 22-year-old range, there's always things going on, events, parties, this, that. So, having people around you that are like, okay, like we got to focus, like we can't be just like, screwing around. We got to like eyes on the prize. That is definitely one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah, no, I think that like I started off like sort of freshly graduated from UTS, and as like a young founder, like as the three of you, I would say that there were a lot of challenges through that, like maybe some like prejudice against like, hey, you might not have enough experience, hey, you're still a student. Did any of you guys face that as well, like in this journey?
Yeah, I know my parents would love if I just got a normal job, but here we are, and I wouldn't have it any other way because it's just forced me to grow and learn such a faster rate. I've been having to push myself out of the comfort zone. When I first started the journey, I didn't even know how to code in the language. But doing that has actually helped and translated into me being a student because we ended up winning best project overall at one of the software engineering showcases. And I would not have got there if I didn't force myself to learn coding at a beginning stage because I was pretty bad at the beginning. And also just like the pitching aspect as well, you've got people to talk to. It's just great. That really sort of facilitates that startup.
Yeah, well, when you're a student, you're presented to choices in life, right? You can graduate and work 40 years, or you can take the crazy approach and do it in 4 years. Do the amount of stress, stress, agony. There's 40 years of work into 4. We picked that 4, but that's just
if it works.
If it works, yeah. Well,
that's the big question.
But that's the thing. Like no matter what, you have to go in that path anyway. So you might as well pick it while you have the chance. Just go for it. If it doesn't work, you still have to work a regular job anyway.
Okay, what would be the game plan after that 4 years then?
Is
it be spend some time on the yacht?
Bit of traveling, a bit of this, Bahamas.
Okay, what about you, Harrison?
I think for me, I think it's going to be a long journey. So starting early is a good way to get a foot in the door. Personally, we're in deep tech, which means we've got a lot of R&D, some hardware that we have to develop before we can even start selling. So logistically, it's a little bit harder than software companies. So I kind of figured when I was presented with the problem of leaks in pipes, it might be better to just start working on the problem now and see how far I can get, because if I just keep learning aside from it and then push this down the road, I might not ever get to the point where I feel like I'm ready. So just jumping straight in. Obviously being a young founder, pre-market, it hasn't affected us too much, but I'm sure when we're talking to customers, going to big businesses who really need that level of assurance that what you're saying is true and what you're doing will work, that's what I feel like is going to be the biggest kind of trust building exercise as a young founder.
Okay, yeah, amazing. So are there any other pitches or like pitch competition that you plan joining the next year? Any plans?
Signed up for StartMate as an accelerator. We'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed. There's 1,000 people entering that. But anyone that pops up, I'm always down to do, because just from this experience I learned so much, progressed with our business, like it just accelerated that growth. So any opportunity that pops up, I'm taking it.
Definitely, StartMate's been a great support to the Australian ecosystem. What about you, Keith?
Nothing to mind, but my options are open. When something comes along, be happy to go for it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this summer we're very much focused on product, so that we can get into market. But moving on from that, we're also looking at StartMate, Techstars, other accelerators, and if any pitching competitions pop up, then I'm sure we'll throw our hat in the ring, as Keith would say.
Okay, so nothing too planned at the moment.
covered.
Yeah,
Still
nothing.
recovering from this one.
Yeah, still coming through this. You're still coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So speaking of what sort of benefits have you experienced through as a student founder?
Well, as a student founder, like I said before, it's sort of having the startup knowledge that forced me to learn how to build a website, learn how to code an app, learn how to pitch. It translated really well with a lot of the subjects we're doing. Because a lot of the subjects, it required that expertise ahead of time. So you almost feel like you come in pre-prepared to every subject you do. So when you force yourself out of that comfort zone, it just makes the rest of the ride easier as a student.
Yeah.
So
100%.
what are the advantages of being a student and
Yeah,
being a founder?
yeah. What's the advantages? Is it you get access to communities like UTS Startups? You get different perks.
I think the main advantage is honestly just time. Compounding. Just when the younger you start, the more time you have. Starting a startup, people think they're just going to start it in 1 month launch and get 1 million users. Unfortunately, we know it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You need time. It takes you at least a year just to figure out what you're doing, and then maybe another year to go to market. It takes so long to figure out what you're doing. You need to have as much time on your side as possible, because a startup, if everything goes well, it's at least a 10-year journey, from what I've heard. So you need that time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a lot of advantages to starting young. You don't have as many commitments, such as kids and whatnot, and you have less to lose, as you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Less
think it's
risk.
great. Yeah.
That's exactly it. There's no risk. When you start young, you're virtually taking zero risk, because you can always make the money back. So what? Even if you spend 10, 20 grand, you can make it back in a year. It's not gonna kill us.
Yeah, I've also heard that a lot of the times that if people do try for startups and it doesn't go their way, when they do apply for jobs in the more traditional sense, it actually really works in their favor, because it shows the employer that they've gone through it, they've learned outside the comfort zone, they're willing to put on multiple hats, and it just really works well on the resume. So regardless of giving it an opportunity, just giving it a go, it's going to work out.
Yeah, that's a great point. Harrison, do you have any thoughts? Maybe a bit different?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the access to lab space from UTS has been really pivotal for us. I think if I was graduated and maybe not a student, that would be a lot harder to get a hold of. So as part of my engineering degree and my capstone, I have space that I can work out of, develop our technology, which is really rare.
Yeah, right. So for a bit of context, how much would it actually cost for lab space if you weren't a student?
That's a good question. It's very hard to get shared lab space.
Yeah.
So usually if you're looking for a lab, you're getting a whole lab. So getting a small desk in a lab, especially when there's sensitive IP all around, is not easy. So I think being a student and leveraging the UTS facilities has been a really great opportunity as a student.
Yeah, amazing, great. Would you like to sort of touch a little bit more about the team, your co-founders? I know all three of you have co-founders on board. Would you like to touch on your journey and how you met them?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
how you started?
So my co-founder, Michael, he is the CTO, and he is a gun on everything back end. So he just jumped headfirst, shared a similar journey because we both went into it just having an idea, thinking, well, let's just give it a go. And we just learned everything along the way from the ground up. He dived headfirst into AWS and is just now absolutely killing on that end, and he's now hooking up our Stripe payment system. We've now put a senior engineer on. His name is Moses, and funny enough, Michael met him through his other job. And he's been great. Like when I found out he created his own printer driver for fun, coding, I said, bring him in, you can have a bit of fun on our app. And it turned out to be great. And he's just come in with such a passion, trying to dive headfirst into any challenge. He's been great. And Aaron, he's an international exchange student from Germany. And he has also been great. He was helping a lot with the networking side. And he's going to be joining us more formally next year to help build out and connect with the coaches to make our marketplace work.
Great,
Yeah.
fantastic. What about you?
We're a team of 4. All immigrants. I met our CTO, Deepak. Actually, he was trying to intern for another company. And I was going around, I was looking for devs, looking for someone who could join us. And I saw him there and I said, hey, instead of interning, why don't you become a CTO at, Subletr? And we had a chat of the idea. It took a while for him to understand the concept. Back and forth, he's like, I don't get it. What's the subletting? What's going on here? Once I really broke it down, he's like, I see the opportunity here. We started the company together. Then we have Julius, I met first year of UTS. He was in my business class. We're in a group together. We started talking, and then, he saw me post some things on my story. And he's like, hey, what's this project you're working on? We had a chat, and then he joined us. And then I met our first hire, our most recent addition to the team, Stefano, actually at a UTS Startup Drinks. I saw him, was having a few drinks around, and, I saw him, and he started chatting. I was like, oh, this is an interesting bloke. Let's have a chat to him. And, he was saying that he really wanted to get involved in startups. So I said, hey, I've got something going. Come have a look. I'll get you a desk, and we'll figure it out. And
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. The ecosystem providing lots of value.
Provide a little bit.
What about you, Harrison?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of my co-founders, Ishan, who's our chief engineer, CTO, I've known him throughout my uni degree, which has been great, and I've gotten to see his progression as an engineer. I think he competed in the US for rocketry earlier this year, and he's really impressed me with all his engineering work, so I brought him on as my first co-founder. And then I actually did an internship at Amazon Web Services over the summer. Worked on a couple intern projects, and one of them was with my other co-founder, Shayon, and we worked really well as a team. He has the gift of the gab. By the end of the project, everyone at Amazon kind of knew what was going on, and he had sold it to everyone. And I kind of chatted to him afterwards and said, I really value the skills you have, and it'd be great if you came on and took this risk as a co-founder of Pura Link. So yeah, 2 different places. We all have very different skill sets, but I think it complements each other well.
Yeah.
And that's really important for a founding team. It's great that everyone has complementary skills because everyone has to fit into the piece, especially when there's so few, a founding team of 3 or 4, everyone has to play their part. You kind of overlap.
Yeah, I've found that people always meet their co-founders in very interesting ways. I met my co-founder through Bumble Business, actually. I don't know if I can shout that out here, but I did. But so yeah, now that before we wrap up, do you guys have any final comments or sort of shout outs that you'd like to make before we go to the unrecorded Q&A?
If anyone here or at home, if you want to get a marketing internship, or if you know any 8-ball and temp and bowling coaches, I would love it if you send that to skillryprimary@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if anyone's going away soon or know someone that's going away, you can sublet your home and we'll find you someone to pay rent while you're away on Subletr.
Absolutely, and we are looking to do our first inspections in construction or water utilities, so if you work in that space, feel free to reach out.
Such great news. Okay, so yeah, if you guys are looking for any startups, looking for marketing or tech support, feel free to reach out to me, Annie@mersive.com. So yeah, let's move on to the unrecorded Q&A.